What does the cross of Jesus mean? It's more than songs, so much more than more the change. But it means I'm free from the chains of slavery, and the blood it shed won't let my sin remain. Upon the cross, my Savior died. The Lamb was crucified. God showed us that this world had never known. True love you never find, so that we might live the game and die alone. Well, the cross will always represent the love God has for me. The Lord of glory has sent on Calvary, God did it just for me, just for me. Oh, Jesus came and breathed just for me. What does the cross of Jesus, so the songs we sing, so much more than Lord, your shame. But it means I'm free from the chains of slavery, and the blood shed won't let my sins remain. No, upon the cross, my Savior died. The Lamb was crucified. God showed us love that this world had never known. True love you never find, so that we might live the game and die alone. Well, the cross will always represent the love God has for me. The Lord of glory has sent on Calvary, God did it just for me, just for me. Jesus came and did, Jesus came and did, Jesus came and did. Jesus came and did. Jesus came and did. Would not come to from the cross he decided to save a wretch like me. He decided God. Jesus came and did. Jesus came and did.
The Bible says on the night that Jesus was betrayed, he used what was available at a supper meal. to institute a significant sacred ritual in the life of every follower of the way. We call it Holy Communion or the Lord's Supper. What Jesus really did was to help us understand the significance of his life and his death and his resurrection, using the elements at dinner. The Bible says he took the bread, and when he gave thanks for the bread, the Bible says he broke the bread and passed the bread to his disciples. Now the significance in this broken bread is found in the words that Jesus said to those in the room that day. He said, "This bread represents my body, which will be broken for you." See, Jesus knew that we would experience some brokenness in our lives. There were things in our lives that would break. Our careers would break sometimes. Our relationships would break sometimes. Our finances would break sometimes. But he also wanted you to know that even though things might break at times, it wasn't the end. He said, every time you eat this meal, remember that I died for you. The disciples ate the bread. Remember, these are symbolic elements of that meal. The Bible goes on to say, likewise, after supper was over, Jesus took a cup, and the many cups in your hands are symbolic of the one cup he held up in that room during that supper meal. He said, what's in the cup represents the blood of the new covenant poured out for the forgiveness of sins. Now remember, we're not blood drinkers. Jesus wanted to connect the blood that of his that would be spilled on our behalf to redemption that we would need at times in the midst of our own brokenness. See, you realize that when we experience brokenness, it would normally be at the hands of other people. And we would need a means by which we could move forward from the moment of hurt or the moment of pain or even the moment of disappointment. And the only way we can do that is through forgiveness. So here we are today, reflecting on the fact that there have been things in our lives that have been broken, but knowing that also we have the power to move forward through the precious blood of Christ that was shed on our behalf. He said, every time you eat this meal and drink from this cup, Jesus said to do this in remembrance of me. The disciples and their families pray. You are forgiven. And that's the power in this moment, to know that we have been forgiven. God bless you. You may be seated.